In the archives of tomorrow, where memory becomes light and history breathes through circuitry, a forgotten rebellion waits to be awakened. Nova stands poised beneath violet-tinted holograms, her jacket glowing in the soft neon haze. Beside her, Atlas adjusts his steampunk goggles, amber reflections dancing across the metal. The databank hums, alive with centuries of voices. Nova lifts her hollow tablet, its surface shimmering like liquid glass. Atlas scrolls through maps that float weightlessly in the air. The German coast, 1811. Sugar, suffering, and a fire that would not stay contained. A holographic Louisiana landscape unfurls, rivers outlined in neon blue, plantation lines etched in gold. Sepia parchment bleeds into futuristic overlays as the past and future merge in a single luminous breath. The wind of another century brushes past, and the map dissolves into mist. Dawn breaks over the real German coast. Cane fields stretch endlessly under the weight of morning fog. Birds scatter. Footsteps crunch through dew-heavy rows. Enslaved laborers bend under the unforgiving sun, sweat dripping, knives flashing as they cut through razor-edged cane. Breaths fall in a brutal rhythm. Chop, chop, chop. The grinding mill churns with merciless hunger. Steam clouds the room. Gears gnash. Metal screams and spits sparks. Every misstep threatens a limb. Every second is danger. In the dim light of a storage shed, Charles Deslanda stands half in shadow, a driver forced into a role he despises. A whip hangs at his side, but his eyes burn with something deeper, something dangerous. He watches the workers, their exhaustion, their pain, and says nothing. But his silence carries the weight of a revolution. A flicker of memory, silhouettes in firelight, banners rising, echoes of drums under a Caribbean night. Whispers of Haiti's triumph cling to him like smoke. Freedom is possible. A holographic parchment rotates slowly, revealing numbers that expose the truth. More enslaved Africans than free whites, a colony perched on the edge of its own fear. Plantation houses loom under candlelit windows, grand facades hiding paranoia. Shutters creak in the wind. Inside, wealth trembles at the thought of what keeps it alive. Sugar season erupts in chaos. Cane sliced, hauled, boiled, refined. A non-stop 48-hour cycle that consumes human bodies like fuel. The system devours without remorse. Resistance flickers quietly in the shadows. A tool dulled here. A sick day feigned. A glance exchanged like a coded message. Defiance surviving through whispers. Far into the swamps, mist coils around cypress trees. Hidden communities breathe free beyond the plantation's reach. Their fires glow faintly through the fog, a reminder that freedom already exists within the cracks. Ships arrive in New Orleans carrying Haitian refugees, faces marked by exile, resilience, and revolutionary memory. Their stories crack open the imagination of the enslaved.
They watch us close.
In the dim light of a fire, refugees whisper in Creole and French, tales of Toussaint, of battles won, of tyrants toppled. Each whispered word becomes a seed. In a hidden corner of a cabin, Charles Deslandes, Cook, and Quamina lean over a charcoal-sketched map carved onto a plank table. The candle flame dances as they plan.
Give this to Thomas.
Each murmur tightens the web of revolution. Across plantations, doors close softly. Heads nod discreetly. Hands signal settled agreements. A conspiracy moves like a shadow through the night. The night of January 8th settles. Moonlight drips across cane fields. Fog rolls in thick, smothering sound. The land holds its breath. Silhouettes approach the Andre residence, slow, deliberate, silent. A distant dog barks, then stops. The air grows still. The first strike shatters the quiet. Wood splinters. Voices explode into chaos. Firelight flashes across blades raised with years of rage behind them. Andre stumbles into the swamp, breath ragged, shirt stained red. Behind him, the consequences of his world closing in. His son does not escape. Muskets are seized, militia uniforms stripped from their hooks. Oppression's own weapons now rest in the hands of those it sought to crush. Dawn spreads over the river road like gold, and out of the rising light marches an army, organized, unified, determined. Their voices rise, freedom or death. Sweat gleams on their faces. Cane knives clang together like crude sabers of liberation. Behind them, plantations burn, houses crumble, black smoke twists into the sky. The German coast is no longer silent.
The night presses in again, heavy, watchful, listening. But this time, it is not the same night. Something moves beneath it. A current, a pulse, a rumor that refuses to die. Word of the strike travels quietly at first, carried in whispers, glances, and a language overseen by no overseer. Men and women who have never spoken suddenly recognize the same fire in each other. Children lean in doorways, pretending not to listen, yet memorizing every syllable. Elders close their eyes and remember rebellions Rome itself failed to silence. In the quarters, the atmosphere thickens. Not fear, not despair, something else, something older. It is the feeling of a question rising like smoke. If one man can strike, what can 100 do? The plantation owners noticed the silence first, the way the usual rhythm of the day shifts, barely, yet unmistakably. Tools move slower, eyes hold longer, conversations end when boots approach. In the main house, rumors are interpreted as danger, then as insult, then finally as defiance. Meetings spill long into the night. Lanterns burn until dawn. Voices rise behind closed shutters, fear disguised as strategy. The walls absorb every anxious command. Meanwhile, beyond those walls, the forest grows bold. Footsteps weave through trees in secret patterns. Canoe scars appear on riverbanks where no canoes should be. A network forms, silent, invisible, ungoverned. It begins with one trusted messenger slipping through the night, then two, then dozens. Words carried across miles. There is a man who struck back, and he lived. Every retelling grows more urgent, more detailed, more undeniable. A heartbeat becomes a drumbeat becomes a march, and the march becomes a plan forming in the dark. Even the sky seems to lean closer, clouds swallowing the moon as if guarding the conspirators below. Torches flicker like low stars. Hands that once trembled now move with precision, purpose, memory. The fear that once pressed down becomes the fuel that lifts them. Across the region, plantations tighten their security. Riders patrol, dogs are trained, lanterns swing from posts meant to intimidate. But each measure of control only confirms what the enslaved already know. The masters are afraid. And fear spreads faster than any messenger. Where one plantation panics, another overcorrects. Where one master punishes, another retreats behind reinforced doors. The world of the enslavers fractures, paranoid, suspicious, dissonant. But in the quarters, unity tightens. Small fires burn late, tools are repurposed, roots and remedies are gathered quietly. Voices practice routes, signals, and the rhythm of coordinated escape. Mothers teach their children the sound of different whistles. Fathers practice lifting gates without a sound. Young men memorize paths through marsh and thicket. Elders recite stories of uprisings across oceans, reminding the youth that rebellion is not a miracle. It is a tradition. And through all this, one figure becomes more than a man. He becomes a symbol, a spark passed from hand to hand, a name that no punishment can erase. The enslaved gather in secret spaces, under floorboards, in swamps, between rows of cane, speaking in low, steady tones. If he can do it, so can we. Deep in the forest, plans sharpen, paths are mapped, weapons improvised, safe houses identified. The night becomes a teacher, and by the time daylight returns, the rebellion is no longer a rumor. It is an inevitability. Something vast has awakened. The world has not yet heard it, but it is coming, rising, gathering, waiting for the moment when silence becomes thunder. What came next was not justice. It was a campaign of pure, calculated terror, designed to extinguish every remaining ember of rebellion and carve a warning into the land itself. General Hampton, Andre's militia, hired Native American trackers, all sent into the swamps to hunt the fugitives as if they were not human beings, but shadows to be erased. There was no presumption of innocence. Swift tribunals were held on the plantations, panels of slave owners acting as judge, jury, and the silent promise of execution. At Destrehan, men were interrogated under conditions no human body could endure. Their sentences were never in question. Executions came by firing squad, but death was only the beginning. In an act of psychological warfare unmatched in its cruelty, the authorities ordered the decapitation of the fallen. Their heads were mounted on towering poles, lining the river road for over 60 miles, a corridor of terror that scarred the landscape, with some accounts speaking of 100 heads staring blankly toward New Orleans. And then there was the fate of Charles Deslandes, the leader, the symbol, the warning they wanted etched into the bones of the enslaved. Captured on January 12th,
He was denied even the pretense of a trial. According to a naval officer's chilling eyewitness account, his hands were chopped off. He was shot in both thighs until his legs shattered, then shot again through the body. Before death took him, he was thrown onto a pile of straw and set on fire. His screams were used as a message, domination broadcast through the swamps. In the aftermath, a different battle began, the war for the story itself. The planter class and government officials moved quickly to rewrite the narrative. Governor Clyburn and others downplayed the uprising, calling the organized army mere bandits, mere brigands. They minimized the numbers. They erased the political goals. They smothered the truth under bureaucratic ink. Why? Because the truth was too dangerous to acknowledge. To admit that hundreds of enslaved people organized a military campaign for freedom would shatter the central lie of the slave system, the myth of the content, docile laborer. It would expose slavery as the violent engine of oppression it had always been, sustainable only through overwhelming force and terror. And so, they buried it. Official reports sanitized. Newspapers obediently echoed the diminished version. History, written by the victors, sealed the voices of the vanquished in silence. The names, the motivations, the stories of the rebels dissolved into footnotes, overshadowed for generations. By military standards, the German Coast Uprising was a failure. They did not take New Orleans. They did not establish a free black republic. The rebellion was crushed, and slavery emerged even harsher than before. But to measure their actions only by the outcome is to miss their true significance. For 2 days, an army of the enslaved held their freedom in their hands. They fought for a world they had never seen but could imagine with absolute clarity. They proved they were not passive victims, but strategists, leaders, warriors. The authorities displayed their heads to frighten generations into submission, but even then, they could not kill the idea of freedom itself. The story of Charles Deslandes and the German Coast Rebels is more than an uprising. It is a testament to human will, to courage forged under unimaginable cruelty, and to the truth that suppressed history still breathes beneath the soil. This was a story buried, but never lost. A story that demands to be told.
If this story moved you, don't let it vanish into the algorithm. Hit like, so more people learn the histories they were never taught.
And subscribe if you want more hidden revolts, forgotten leaders, and the truths buried under centuries of silence. We tell the stories others tried to erase.
Your support keeps this fire alive. Stay curious.
Stay defiant.
And remember, knowledge is rebellion.